Hello everyone, and today I'm going to be talking about some Linux terminal commands. I am using Kali Linux right now, which is a Debian-based Linux system, but most of the commands that I'm going to show you today are generally the same in other Linux systems for the most part. Okay, I'm going to start off with commands with the file system commands. These are basically commands that you can use to move, add, create, delete, list the details of files and directories. Okay. First command I'm going to start off with is the pwd command. This command will list the exact path, the absolute path of the directory that you are currently in. Next command I'm going to talk to you about is the ls command. The ls command is basically going to list everything that's in your directory. Okay, there's a difference between files and directories. Directories are basically folders that can contain various different files. Okay, next command I'll show you is the cd command. CD, basically it's the change directory command. The change directory will change it, will allow you to move to a different directory. And there's different ways I could do this. I could write the absolute path of where I want to go. Let's say I want to go to my desktop. Now I'm in my desktop. If I do ls here, it's going to show me what's in my desktop. Currently, I can only see my CTF directory. Uh, that I was using CD using the absolute path, so the full path. I could also do CD and just write CTF. That's the relative path. That's the path that's in relation to the directory I'm currently at. I'm in the desktop directory, and the CTF directory is within the desktop directory. The desktop directory is the parent folder, and the CTF directory is the child directory of the parent directory, which is the desktop folder. Um, Next command I'll quickly talk to you about is the clear command. Clear is basically a convenient way to clear your screen. Next command is the history command. History command, basically it tells you the commands that you've used previously. In addition to the history command, you could also just press the up arrow key on your keyboard, and if you keep pressing the up key, this will allow you to basically keep going further into the past. All right. Now I'm gonna talk about the actually one more thing. One more command is the man command. Man, it refers to the manual. So if you write the man and just write the name of the command you want information on, let's say the ls command, this is gonna show you this is basically gonna give you documentation of the command that you typed man about, that you want to see the manual on. And this is basically gonna it's gonna give you a brief description about what the command does, and it's also going to list the various flags that you can use. Flags basically are additional options that you can add to a command that either changes the function or makes it do a more specific function that you want it to do. So here, you can write ls and write it with the -a, and this will list all the contents of the directory, not just it'll list all the files. It'll list the hidden contents of the directory as well. So if I were to leave this man page, type Q to quit it, and if I were to do ls -a, this is gonna, oh, by the way, this is a different directory that I'm in. I was in the practice directory earlier, which only had 2 files, and now I'm in the CTF directory, which has more files in that. But the additional content that you see is you see here there's 1 dot, 2 dots. uh one dot, by the way, one dot refers to the directory that you are currently in right now. I'm in the CTF directory. That's the present working directory. Two dots refers to your parent directory, the directory that's one level above from where you are at. So one level above desktop, oh sorry, one level above CTF is the desktop. So if I were to do CD with two dots, that's going to move me into the desktop directory. Now I'm going to go back to the CTF. I'm going to clear my screen. And now another flag that I'll add to the ls command is ls-l. If I do this, I get a lot more information. Not only does it list all the files, but it also gives me the modification date. So, you see here March 17th at 5 o'clock. That's when the file was last modified. And next to that timestamp, I also see this is the size of the file. And this is in bytes. So here it says 4096. That means it's about 4 kilobytes. And next to it, I see this tells me the owner of the file, and this tells me what group that file belongs to. Now, in this case, both of these happen to be the same. And this number, it's a bit more of an advanced thing. It basically tells you how many links, how many hard links the file has. But don't worry too much about that right now. This is an important part. This basically refers to the permissions that the file currently has. And you see here, actually, let's look at this. This tells you you see R, W, and X, and that can be repeated. It's repeated 3 times, so there's 9 spots overall. R means read, W means write, and X means execute. So if the R letter is there, that means you can read the file. If the W letter is there, that means you can write to the file. If the X letter is there, that means you can execute the file. Now in this case, the X is actually not there. It's blank. That means this file I'm the owner of this file cannot execute it. And the reason these are repeated 3 times is because there are 3 sets of permissions. The first 3 letters refers to what the owner of the file can do. The next 3 letters refers to what the group of that file, what the users in that group of the file can do. And the last set of permissions, the last 3 letters refers to what other users can do. Other, people who are not the owners or are not in the same group, what they can do with the file. And the first letter, you see it's blank for most of them, and just here you see D. If it's blank, that means it's a regular file. If you see D, for example, that means it's a directory. Practice is a directory, and the rest of these are actual files. Okay, and then so the ls-l command gives you a lot more information. And you could also combine flags. For example, you could do ls-la. So I'm turning on the L flag, the giving me more information. I'm also turning on the A flag, which is going to show me everything, including hidden files. You see here? All right. Next command I'm going to talk to you about is the mkdir. Mkdir means make directory. This it's as it sounds. It lets you make a directory, a folder. Let's say I want to make a directory called new. Now if I do ls, you see there's a directory called new right here. Now if I want to get rid of this directory I just made, the new directory, I can do rmdir, remove directory, and then the name of the directory, rmdir new. Now if I do ls again, new is no longer there. Now, a note about the rmdir command, it only lets you remove a directory if the directory is empty. You see, I just made the mkd, I just made the new directory, so it was empty. That's why it allowed me to use this command. Now, if I were to do rmdir on another folder, let's say the practice folder does have content in it. You see, it has two files. Now, if I do, I'm just going to go back to the CTF folder. If I do rmdir practice, it's not going to let me because the directory is not empty. Now, one way to get around this is you could do this command, rm, just rm, and then the flag r, and then the name of the directory. The flag r, it basically means recursive, so it's going to work backwards. It's going to remove all the files that are in the directory, and then it's going to move up and get rid of the directory itself. I'm not gonna do this command right now because I'm gonna need the practice folder for later. But that is the command. Just rm with the r flag. If you want to get rid of a file, for example, if I wanted to get rid of, let's say, present.py, I can do just rm present.py. And if I do ls again, present.py is nowhere to be seen. I'm going to clear my screen. Okay, next command is the cp command, the copy command. This command basically lets you, it says it sounds, it lets you copy a file to another destination. So let's say I want to copy the pass.c file into the practice directory. So first you do cp and then the source, which is pass.c, and then the destination, which I'm gonna copy it into the practice folder. And if I do ls again, you see pass.c is still here. It was not removed. But if I go into the practice folder and do ls there, you see pass.c is over there. Okay. Next is the move command. Let's say I want to move pass.c into another folder. Let's say another directory. Let's say I want to move it over to the desktop directory. I can do mv pass.c. I'm going to write the full absolute path, which is and then desktop. If I do that, then you might be able to see it here that the pass.c moved into my desktop. If I do ls again, pass.c is not here anymore because I didn't just copy it, I literally moved it. Another thing that the mv command can do is it also lets you rename a file. So let's say I want to rename this file pass.txt. If I do mv pass.txt, and then let's say I want to, some random gibberish, let's say I want to rename it to this. If I do that, then the file pass.txt has been renamed to this. All right. Next command I'm going to talk about is the touch command. Touch basically allows you to create a file. So let's say I want to create a file called lol.txt. If I do that and do ls, you can see there's now a file called lol.txt. Now there's nothing in this file right now. It basically creates an empty file. All right, that's the touch command. Next is the I'm going to move into another directory. Next is the grep command. The grep command basically it's called global regular expression print. It's used to search for patterns or specific text within files. Now let's see what we have here. We have let's see what's in pass.txt. I'm just gonna open up a Nano. Nano is a text editor, which is generally built into Kali. I'm just gonna, let's say, I'm gonna write some random stuff. This is just for the sake of demonstration, and also to show you Nano. Nano is just it's a built-in text editor. Once you're finished editing, you're once you're finished typing what you want to type, you can exit by holding the control key and pressing X. But before you do, if you've modified the file, it's going to ask you, do you want to save this modified file? I'm just going to save it, so I'm going to write Y, which and then it's going to ask me what name do I want to give the file. I'm just going to keep the same name, so I'm just going to press enter, and now I've exited Nano. Okay, I just added some text to the pass.txt file. Now I'm going to show the grep command. Now, if I were to do, first you do grep, and then you do a double quoted, or just a quoted string, and in that string, you can type, let's say, what it is you want to look for. This is a command that can be used to, see if a file has a certain pattern or certain text, specific text, or even just a regular expressions. It's you can use it for advanced in advanced ways, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to be seeing if pass.txt has the word second in it. If I do that, it's basically going to print all the lines that have second in it. Now, this particular example, it's actually supposed to print out the full line, but when I made the edit to the file, I only wrote second, so it's actually supposed to be the full line. All right, that's the grep command. Now I'm gonna talk about the find command. Find command is basically it's used to search for files or directories. Now if I do ls, I can see I have several files here that start with the word past, but they all have different extensions. So if I wanted to, let's say, find all the files that start with the word past, they just have the word past in them, past dot. I can do this command. Find is the command, and then I can write, I have to set the flag dash name because we're actually searching for the name of the file. And then comes the quoted string, the character, what I want to find. So I'm going to search for pass dot, and then after pass dot, I'm going to write asterisk. Asterisk is basically another way of saying it can be anything. It's a wildcard. So this command is basically going to give me all the files that start with past dot. And you can see here there's several files here that start with past. Now, okay, if I wanted to find, let's say I wanted to find all the files that end with a particular extension, I could do this: find dash name, and then I'm gonna start with the wildcard. It starts with anything basically, and then dot, let's say I want to find all the files in this directory that end with the extension .txt. If I do that, it's going to list all the files that are text files in this directory. Okay, that is the find command. Now, earlier I talked about the ls-l command, and the ls-l command showed you, it also, in addition to all this info, it also showed you permissions of the file. Now, and I mentioned that there's 3 types of permissions. There's what the owner of the file can do, what the group of the file can do, and what other users can do. That is the last one. And it's RWX. R is read, W is write, X is execute. Now let's say we're looking at this file, future.c. And let's say I want to give the owner of the file, AntLad, the ability to execute this file. You can see right here I can at the moment, I'm only able to read, the owner can only read the file and they can only write to the file, but they cannot execute the file. This is where the chmod command comes from. I'm going to clear my screen just so it's easier to see. The chmod command. Now, actually, let me show you ls-l one more time. This is the owner. This is the group. This is the others. So if I were to do the chmod command, I have to specify who I want to give the permission, this permission to. U stands for the owner of the file. G stands for the group. O stands for others. Now, if I wanted to give the owner the ability to execute this file, I can do this. U, that's the owner, plus X. So we're adding X. We're adding the ability to execute this file to future.c. Now, if I do ls-l again, you can see here the owner of the file can now execute this file. Now, the file doesn't have anything in it right now, so there's no point in executing it. In addition to adding permissions, you could also remove permissions with the chmod command. Now, if I were to do chmod u minus x with the future.c file, and if I do ls-l again, now you see over here the x is gone. So now the owner can no longer execute this file. In addition to straight up writing the letter, you could also use numbers instead. For example, the number 4 refers to read. The number 2 refers to write. The number 1 refers to execute. And the permissions that you give overall to a user, you have to add the permissions together. So let's say you only wanted to give the user the ability to execute the file, then that means the permission, it's just going to be a number of 1. If you wanted to give them the ability to read and write to a file but not execute, then it's going to be 4 plus 2, 6. If you wanted to give the user the ability to do everything, then it's going to be 7. And that's for a particular I mentioned earlier, there's 3 types of permissions. There's the owner, there's the group, and there's the others. So there's going to be 3 numbers. So let's say I have this 7. That the first one refers to the owner of the file, and I have the number 7, which is they can read, they can write, and they can execute. Next is the group. The group has the number 4. 4 is the number for read. And the number 1, the last one is the others. And the others they have the number 1, which means they can only execute. They cannot read or write to the file. So you can use, let's say I wanted to allow everyone to do everything. So I wanted to allow the owner, the group, and the others to do everything. So they can I can write chmod 777, and then let's say future.c, and then if I do ls-l, you can see here all of the groups, all of the permissions for all the types of permissions have been elevated. So anyone can do anything with the future.c file. Now I'm going to clear my screen. Next command is the df command, which is basically disk usage. If I do df and then -h makes it human readable. And this is going to show me all the various file systems, where they're mounted, and how much of them is being used, how much is available, and what the size of that file system is. Okay, that is the df command. Another command is the du command. This is actually used for specific files. Let's say this tells you how much space that file is using. let's say, let's see what we have here. Let's say I wanted to look at the yes.txt file. If I do du-h and yes.txt, it says 4 kilobytes right now. Next command I'm going to talk about is the cat command. The cat command, it basically allows me to basically list it displays all of the contents of the file. So let's say I want to display all of the contents of the pass.txt file, and these are all the contents right here. And let's say I wanted to list all of the contents and the line numbers. I could do pass.txt with the -n command, -n flag. And here it lists all of the content, and it also lists the line numbers. Another command is the echo command. Echo allows you to, let's say if you just write echo and then a double and a quoted string, this is gonna basically print out the string into your terminal. You can see here it's been printed out to my terminal. But you can also, a more useful way to use the echo command is to add. You can use it to add something to a file or to overwrite a file. Let's say I wanted to add some random garbage to pass.txt. Sorry, after the text that I write, I have to use one of two arrows. I can use one arrow, or I can use two arrows. Two arrows basically allows you to append the file without overwriting the content that's in it. Using one arrow is going to overwrite the content in the file. Let's say I want to append this to pass.txt. I do that, and if I do cat pass.txt, it's going to, you can see this is the new line that I have added. Now if I do echo some garbage and then just one arrow, this is going to overwrite the content that I added earlier. So if I do cat pass.txt, you can see it only displays the line that I just added, not the previous content, because it's been overwritten